Okay, and hopefully we are live, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Smudcast number 928. Themes don't make media good. All in caps. I would have to agree in general, although a good theme can make a good story, depending on how you write that story. And this is a video by Type 2 Productions, which came out last year in August, has about 16,000 views, and Type 2 Productions has almost 12,000 subs, so good on him. I think this is going to be a straightforward video. I don't think there's going to be anything controversial, anything complicated. I think we're going to be agreeing most of the time. So I think we're going to be fine. Hopefully.
It sounds like we covered him before, but
it does sound familiar. The name does seem to be something we've done before. I don't remember what we covered though with him, if we did. And by the way, in case you guys haven't noticed, the chat is busted on the stream. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you.
But we can still see it.
I can't. Yeah, my studio's like.
Oh, Smudcast. Well, yeah, not through the Streamlab studio, but
yeah, it's toast. So I don't know why.
Actually, yes, we have covered him before.
No, we did.
The Lord Farquaad video.
Oh, we just did that.
Yeah,
but that was like a joke video for him, wasn't it? And we were like,
for them, it was two guys in that video.
Yeah. So we were still kind of like, what's going on?
And from what we know, like that was like the one exception to their content, and most of the rest of it apparently is decent content.
Exactly.
Hopefully, this is one of them.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So yeah,
and it's like the video wasn't even bad. It's just, what the hell are they on?
Yeah. Trying to do a farce of the right, was it the right wing extremists? I don't know exactly who they're trying to make fun of. So it just felt a little off.
No, they were trying to but wokeness has been there, didn't notice it or criticize it properly.
I guess.
All right. Well, it's 60
minutes. Yeah, hopefully the Lord Farquaad video was just a fluke, and this one's actually decent.
Right. So if you guys have super chats, I cannot read them. I cannot see them, so I do apologize for whatever's going on. If you find them, you could read them for me. I hope. I can't see the darn thing. So,
I will try to keep up with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have the stream open. So.
Yeah, even my other panels on YouTube Studio is just broken. Like they're all broken. So
yeah, that's weird. That tends to happen sometimes with software where it's like things just break for no reason.
Well, I did just update the wonderful world of Streamlab, so maybe that did something. Either way, we can get started.
It usually does. With you, it tends to do something almost every time. So
I usually fix it though.
At this point, we're just like, whatever.
Okay, let's get started.
Yes.
One of the things I've been, and this is over and over again, and it doesn't matter where you go. Where there is a piece of media being critiqued, you will constantly find people that use, but the themes are relevant as a defense for this. That's always boggled my mind, because this is essentially like saying that a book is great because it has pages. Every piece of media has a theme, no matter how substantive or unimportant. It doesn't matter, they all have one. So how is it the case that's being used as a defense? Now, let's be clear at the very get-go here. We're not saying that themes don't matter. But for whatever reason, so many people, they rush to shout themes as a defense anytime someone criticizes something they like, with zero examination as to the more important bits of the critique, like how the themes are executed. And so themes aren't nothing. We're not saying they're nothing, but they certainly aren't everything. And at least for us, I think we find that execution is far more important than a theme could ever be.
Okay,
and I think that's a fair point.
That's totally fine. The issue is he has to define what he thinks they mean a theme is and what he is actually defining a theme as, so we can understand what he's talking about. Themes could be the 10,000 foot view. It could be a simple X versus Y. It could be a big general universal concept like man versus machine. And you're like talking about like Terminator 2, and you're like, well, that is technically what's happening, but there's a heck of a lot more going on than just a man versus a machine. So
I mean, we can have another example, like for example, the Wrath of Khan, where it's like some of the themes are age because of like with Kirk, the theme of death embodied by Spock's death near the end of the movie, like the theme of obsessions with Khan himself, like obsessed with trying to kill Kirk, trying to hurt Kirk, like things like that. It's like those are, in that specific, at least in that example, those are the most the most direct way that that movie does convey the themes. And it's like it lays them out for you, but not in a bad way.
Right. And some people confuse this with plot or the moral of the story or the ethics. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine, but you have to like argue and say, well, you're talking about what you got out of the story. That's not the theme. And again, you can use your definition of the word theme. I can use mine. We just have to be on the same page of what we're trying to say. So generally speaking, for a story, not necessarily a movie or a game, a story, for me, a theme in a story is what the story is about, what's going on, what is actually happening. So I always give the example of a zombie story. So you're fighting zombies or whatever. If you're going to have a story about zombies, you're going to be fighting zombies most, like 51% of the time, you're going to be fighting zombies, man versus zombie, survival horror. It doesn't have to be survival horror, but that's the genre we usually associate with zombie stories. It could be a farce. It could be a space story. It could be all kinds of stories. So it's what 51% of the story is. That's the major theme. And the minor themes are like romance, adventure, horror, etc., etc. So there's all these elements. And to me, it's just the content of what you're actually consuming in a story. With this, it could be, again, it could just be man versus machine. It could be the implied message at the end of the story. It could be a broad concept. I don't know. So he has to define at least one of those ideas.
Yeah, and again, to that point, to bring up Wrath of Khan again, it's like that's a specific case where the themes are very much integrated into the story, and it's like throughout the film you see those themes in action almost the entire way through.
Yeah,
and they take advantage of those themes in terms of the writing for at least with Kirk and Khan mainly.
Yeah,
it's all the better for integrating those things very much with the plot and in the writing, and it helps the experience with that movie.
Right. And some people don't even care about the themes. They care about the climax or what the big exciting part of the movie is or the story, and they might focus on
which in Star Trek II's case is mainly the death of Spock being the big climax of the story.
And then you could argue that heroes' journeys or journey or quest stories are about heroic sacrifice. They're all like or very similar to that. They don't have to. But that's kind of like, you're doing this and you're going to risk your life and everything's on the line. And yeah, that's what's expected. So sometimes when you watch or read a story that has a hero's journey, you're expecting this death or some kind of sacrifice, and sometimes it doesn't happen. Oh, it's a bad story. It doesn't have this or that. You're like, whoa, slow down. Why is that? So it really depends on how it's done. And as he said, how it's executed. I think that's obviously the most important part. So
yeah,
I think his mind's in the right area.
So far.
Yeah.
First I want to look at is the execution really is a piece of media, not the themes. A piece of media having a theme, even a very relevant one, doesn't automatically mean that it's explored effectively. A good example that comes to my mind is Prometheus back in 2012, where it touches on some really big ideas like creation, faith, and the relationship dynamic of a creator and its creation. The problem is, it lays these themes out and it does absolutely nothing with them. You have the opening shot of a movie where an engineer, which in this film is humanity's creator, sacrificing himself to seed the earth with life, which goes on to be humanity. But it stops right there, and that's the deepest insight we get into this before hours later in the film, where this same race is now trying to destroy humanity. The actual execution of the plot is so sloppy that even if they did explore the themes effectively, it would still be undermined by how poor the writing is. And this film's been pretty infamous for this, but you have a crew of Earth's top scientists, and at different points in the movie, they take their helmets off on an unknown planet, they let a clearly infected crew member, who they left for dead earlier, back onto the ship, where he starts killing everyone, and they literally play peekaboo with unknown alien life forms that kill them a few seconds later. You can't make this up.
Yeah, she's a lady, look. Huh? Hey, baby.
I've never seen the movie, but you explaining it makes it sound really retarded.
And you know what? I wish I could take credit for that, but the writers did that one all by themselves. Another point, just to kind of further establish that it's in the execution, not the themes itself, is that you can have both critically acclaimed works and media that isn't very well received that both share the same themes. Take A Clockwork Orange and Equilibrium. Both movies go into governments enforcing moral conformity, but yet A Clockwork Orange is consistently recognized as an all-time great film and still gets studied and discussed in film schools all over today, yet Equilibrium's been largely forgotten. And I think this is in large part due to the execution, as we mentioned.
Just to clarify, you're not saying that just because something is popular means that it's good.
Well, we've taken the opposite stance of that on this channel many times, and we'll continue to do so.
Metaphor Refantasio's story is trash. Okay, that's interesting. Oblivion Remastered shouldn't exist. Okay. Kojima is brain dead. I wouldn't say he's brain dead. He's just extremely eclectic. Metaphor Refantasio, I actually enjoyed the game as a game. It's very, I wouldn't say Japanese, but it's very, it comes from a Japanese brain. Like it feels like this is what a Japanese guy would do if he was writing fantasy and trying to do like medieval fantasy into a game world and how that would work and why. And the drama beats, it felt very, okay, this feels very JRPG-ish, but in a fantasy world. So that's fine, but it's not for everyone. So you got to like skateboarding on
If nothing else, you give credit for the attempt. If nothing else.
Oh yeah, no, the game itself to play is fine. Like there's lots to do, and the dungeon is kind of a slog. There's so many dungeons, but like talking about Kojima and his games, I mean, yeah, he's the kind of guy you got to like rein him in and allow him to express himself in a little box, and he'd be perfect. Not the whole thing, not the whole game. And I don't know what he was trying to do with Death Stranding, and I didn't. What I've seen of it is like this is enough. After the first hour, I'm like, that's enough. I'm good. Yeah. Oblivion Remastered, I don't know. That's more of a technical thing than it is a storytelling. Like you're not changing anything aside from the engine.
Me personally, I kind of see it as a bit redundant. If anything, you'd think they would have gone for something like Morrowind or something, or even make the attempt with Arena or Daggerfall, honestly. But it's like, hey, people do. I've heard, from what I know, most people like Oblivion. Now, that's a lot of people's favorite, so I can kind of see the logic of remaking that one, but at the same time, could have given it to something else that might have needed it a bit more.
I would have loved to have seen what they might have done with the first one, with Daggerfall, or Arena. Yeah, how would that work? Like, what would they do? Would they put in the new engine? Would they redesign the entire thing? Would they keep the story the same?
Although a drawback with at least Arena is the fact that Arena does cover the entirety of Tamriel, so that would most likely have been a problem. And I think Daggerfall might do the same. I don't remember.
Yeah, but
I'm not denying that Arena would have been a challenge to remake because of that. It absolutely would have. But it's like wouldn't have hurt to try.
Yeah, it's like look at the remake of Tactics or Final Fantasy Tactics. It's virtually identical with some upgrades. So, which is great because the game was already near perfect in terms of technical elements for what they wanted. And
it's like the game was already basically perfect in my opinion with the PSP version with War of the Lions.
Right.
It's like that was already fine.
That upgrade,
in my opinion.
Yeah, so it's like an upgrade or it's a remaking of a thing that's already been remade, but for the PC because they lost the codes, they can't sell. Like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Start from scratch. Here we go. So it's kind of funny they did that.
I mean, Square had already done that with the first Kingdom Hearts, where they went back and got an old PS2 copy, like the latest revision of the PS2 version, and they just worked off of that. It's like if nothing else, credit where it's due for putting in that much effort.
Yeah.
So
it's wild. All right.
But it takes more than just a relevant theme, especially years after release. Films have vastly different reputations, even though they touch on some of the same themes.
Well, in building on top of that point, that execution is what matters and not necessarily the themes themselves. What makes me laugh is you even have pieces of media that downright contradict their own themes and messaging. So for all the people who point to, well, it has themes and therefore this is a defense, that really doesn't hold up. Because we did a video recently on Metaphor ReFantasio, and that game is filled with themes about racial discrimination that are all undermined entirely by the game demonstrating how accurate these stereotypes are in universe. It's actually crazy. The Nidia.
There is some racial discrimination, but that's just the setting. It's not.
Yeah, they don't take it that far, do they?
Not really. I'm trying to remember. Because there's this whole tribal like islands that are far away from the city, and they're trying to bring I think the religion to them or something like that. But that's another theme entirely. So no, it's not a super major issue. I don't think so. Maybe the beast folk, maybe. But then you have like a beast folk character on your team who's like, and you're going to be the new kings. You're going to start eliminating these concepts of racial issues, but it's not a major problem because he's a really tough dude. So he's not like incapable of helping himself to existing and surviving. So no, it's not a major theme. It is a minor theme, sure, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah, to bring up Star Trek again, that's another thing. The racial thing is something else that's a major theme in one of those earlier movies, specifically with the Undiscovered Country.
Oh,
with the Klingons.
Ah, I see.
If you happen to remember that.
6 was it?
Yeah. So Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Country, where in that case, like the racial aspect was a major theme in regards to what was happening with the Klingons after Praxis exploded and all that.
Ah.
Which I've come to discover, it's like it came up in another Smudcast ages ago, but yeah, that the Praxis exploding. As a side note, Praxis exploding was based on the whole Chernobyl thing. Just to point that out. But the whole thing with the Klingons, like to the point where, like, they brought it all the way down to even just regular crew members in the transporter room talking about the Klingons. Like they all look the same and they smell too. It's like that whole thing. It's like that's an example where the racial tension really is a major aspect of the plot, not so much in metaphor here.
Right. I see it. I see it as a setting element, not a theme.
Yeah,
which are
as opposed to Undiscovered Country, where it is a major theme.
Right.
Tribe in the game essentially means race. They're exclusively liars. Every representative you have of the Nidia tribe that the game spends any amount of time with is a liar.
Okay, with this tribe they have this magic that they could hide themselves what they look like. They're really short little like gnome sized people, and they can magically make themselves look tall and beautiful, and that's just what they do. It's not a big deal. That's just like learning the elves have magic or whatever. It's just like, okay, that's one of their skills. It's not a big, like, no one cares. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like changelings or something. It's like it's really not anything new.
I'm trying to think of the plot. The plot isn't affected by it. Like this person, I think she's a songstress, or she's like an idol sort of character. I'm trying to remember. And
yeah, as far as I'm aware, it's not really the specific idea is not really that much at the forefront of the plot.
Right. She pops in later in the story, and she's a playable character as a result. But that's because there's a plot to overthrow the kingdom and whatever, and she's sort of has access to the evil usurper dude who you learn of at the start of the story, which is basically a character like Griffith from Berserk. He almost looks like him too. So
yeah,
like that's probably more of the focus of the story than her.
Juna is a spy. Alonzo is a con man. Jin is a charlatan. Like every one of these people is a liar by the game's own logic. So then why would I treat them the same as everybody else when the game gives me a good reason to distrust them and to...
Well, they're trying to help for the most part. They're trying to overthrow the evil king who wants to kill everyone or whatever. He wants to segregate everyone. I can't remember the exact desire.
It's like saying Yeah, it's like going back to Final Fantasy IV. It's like, why should I give Kane any at the time of day in any way, considering he's just going to betray us again?
Well, you know it's coming, right? Yeah.
It sounds like, well, by late game, you definitely know another one is coming when you go into that one cave in the underworld, but still.
Yeah.
You discriminate against them.
So you're saying the game makes it a point to say racial discrimination is bad, but then affirms every negative racial stereotype for certain races?
Yes.
I mean, kind of based, but probably one accident.
So the Nydia end up creating a self-fulfilling prophecy and blaming their tendencies to lie and deceive on other people, and then they get mad at other people when they get stereotyped as deceivers. Where have I seen this before?
They break into your house and steal from you because they're like, well, you're going to think I'm a thief anyways. Might as well, fulfill the prophecy.
Right. It's insane. And people like, oh, it's so nuanced, it's so deep because of the themes of racial discrimination. What are we doing?
Well, yeah, but those people are reading too much into it. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
It's just like them having a tail or something like that, or whatever. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
It does
And again, yeah.
It doesn't affect the plot. It doesn't affect characterization by much, outside of Juno not wanting to share what she looks like, but then she trusts you. And then there's times when she's in the ship you're in, and she's like just a little. She just takes it off. She's just sitting around, and she's like this tiny little. She doesn't care. So she gets over it. It's like no big deal. It's like putting on a pair of shoes and then taking them off and not wearing them anymore. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, as opposed to the Undiscovered Country, to bring it up again for this point, it's like where the discrimination is never necessarily proven wrong. It's like it is shown that there is some truth to it in terms of like what is actually factual about the Klingons, but as part of that plot, that's like part of the conflict is to just move past that and make peace. Like just straight up, despite the flaws of either side, whether it's the Klingons or the Federation. So
I do recall the racial elements of TNG in relation to, or sorry, DS9 in relation to the old series, and Worf saying we do not talk about it. It's just, why does Klingons look totally different? And then I think they made an entire. Was it Enterprise?
If I remember correctly, they tied that whole thing back to Khan and the other super soldiers, where the Klingons were trying to play catch up with them. So, which is why they look more like closer to humans, because they were trying to, like be on par or even surpass the super soldiers because of the eugenics wars.
Because of the eugenics wars, I thought that's what happened as a result of Enterprise, because in Enterprise we meet Soong, one of the Soong doctors, and he tries to make some eugenics thing. It fails.
Yeah, and part of it is also the fact that we know for a fact that Khan has existed for centuries, even before Enterprise.
Yeah.
It's like Khan was part of a major conflict in the late 20th century. So, like, we know he's existed for that long at least.
Yeah, it's kind of silly how Star Trek deals with eugenics and artificial intelligence. They just sort of hand wave. Yeah, we dealt with that. It's bad. We don't do it anymore. There's laws against it. You're like, okay.
Well, they give you just enough to be able to understand the context of what was it that happened and how it affects things going forward.
I know, it's just such a
which is still not much, but they at least give you something.
I know it, but in context to science fiction as a whole, and Star Trek being but trying to be hard sci-fi, it's like these are two major elements, like advancing the human species or the humanoid genome and artificial intelligence. Like these are two very big elements of any science fiction you're talking about, hundreds of years in the future. And they're like, yeah, we did that and it didn't really work out. And we had a whole war, and we stopped doing it. We just never dealt with it ever again. You're like, really?
Yeah, the whole eugenics thing, which also comes with the Klingons trying to get involved and trying to play catch up with the super soldiers, hence why they look the way they do in the original series and in continuity.
All right.
Which, it's at least one way to explain it.
Yeah, it was. I know they try to do that with World War III and like the first few episodes of DS9 with the whole time travel thing, and I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah, as well as the aftermath of it as well as the aftermath of that conflict that was shown in First Contact. So
Yeah. Right.
with Cochrane and everything with the warp drive.
That was a bit
and contact with the Vulcans.
That was a bit more entertaining. I don't know if that was the best depiction of what they were trying to go for, but yeah, it was.
What, First Contact?
Yeah, I think that was a little like, oh, here we go, grandfather paradox coming. And you're like, okay.
Which thankfully they didn't actually follow up with. It was just for the gag, and that's it.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Anyway.
It is. It was, thankfully.
Well, you don't have the media literacy to see why it's great, unfortunately.
Oh, people in the comments let us know that too.
We're losing our media literacy badges if we ever had them.
Well, and Metaphor ReFantasio is by no means alone in this. Like, you'll have other games do it too. Like The Last of Us 2 undermines its themes of violence begetting more violence by showing how miserable life is for Ellie even after she spares Abby. I mean, you would think the message would be, okay, when you break the cycle, life gets better. That doesn't happen. And more than just that, the game repeatedly pushes the idea of revenge, only furthering the cycle of violence. But
Well, it's ironic because Abby is very well happy and adapted and doing okay after she kills Joel. She's fine. She's like, yep.
Part of it with this game is that it is still a dog shit story. There's no two ways about it.
It makes you hate. Like I don't know why they do that in entertainment, to make you feel bad and depressed and sad and this is so long and I gotta go keep doing this. And at the end of it,
feel bad for such a despicable piece of shit human being.
And then at the end, just going, oh yeah, I'm not gonna go through it. It's like, you're not gonna go through it. What are you talking? You spent years going through all this, or whatever long time frame it was, and you're not gonna go through with it because you
like
had
when Khan Noonan's thing seems more reasonable. For fuck's sake, there's something wrong.
When I'm finding my nemesis and they tear my finger off, I suddenly, instead of getting more angry or more reason to end their life or whatever, enact revenge, it does the opposite. I'm like, how did that even, like, how does that make sense? Like, what are you talking about? What logic did Ellie follow to
Yes,
seriously, to have a 180? I wanted that to register somehow, not a flashback that occurred within 3 seconds that lasted like a minute of her remembering Joel was nice to her that one time and she got angry. You're like, what? That caused you to not kill the person you want to kill? What is happening?
It's like there is no reason to let Abby go because she still fucked up Ellie's life. It's like in the context you're given, it's like there really is no other way out of it. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, I don't know what the writer was thinking of doing that outside of we could have a sequel with more drama. I was like, no, let's not.
Wasn't it Druckmann that wrote this dog shit story?
He was in charge. I don't know if he wrote the whole thing though.
He had final say at the very least.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Whenever Ellie finally breaks it, she suffers more than anyone. This theme lacks any sort of weight when the game is constantly forcing you to commit various acts of violence and then shaming you for doing so and trying to make you feel bad.
Well, that's the worst part of the idea of the characterization of Ellie, is that you murder so many people, and then at the end, this should just be a textbook, just walk in the park, just, oh, there she is, let's kill her. And you don't. And it's like, wait, no. You have like a million different ways of how to kill her, and you're not doing that anymore. I'm like, what have all those mooks you just murdered like 10 minutes ago? Like, why?
Yeah, it's like the whole thrust of the plot was getting back at Abby for killing Joel, and then when Ellie doesn't do it, it's like, what was even the point of this story?
Yeah, wouldn't you have like learned some revelation by killing other people in the process? Like, oh, wait a second, killing is bad. I shouldn't go after her. But when you're about to get what you need, you're like, oh, I shouldn't do this. You're like, wait, stop. You just murdered all these people before. What's stopping you now? And they should have dealt with that. They should have had like, as goofy as Metal Gear Solid 3 was, You saw all the people you killed as ghosts in that crazy dream while you're escaping
the boss fight with the sorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I did that to all these guys in the story, and the game remembered as a game did. And if she had to go through something like that, even if she had just had to walk down a corridor and there are all these ghosts haunting her, and then she goes, oh my God, I can't deal with this anymore. I got to stop killing or I'm going to go crazy. And then it's like, okay, now you have a reason. You just experienced like what the hell you just did to get here. You're a monster.
Yeah, and even then in MGS3, it's like it's as far as I'm aware, it is canonically you are only supposed to see the Cobra unit members in that section, because those are the guys you actually actively are supposed to fight.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's like they're also there because of the technicality. It's like because you fought them, it's like they have the bombs in them that go off because you beat them, whether lethally or otherwise. And it's like it falls the responsibility of their death still falls on you because you actively go into conflict with them.
There's a lot of cool playthroughs of MGS3 that are non-lethal, and some of them do not involve using the trank gun. And the level of skill you have to have to like CQC certain bosses is crazy. Like it's just nuts. So
mind you, canonically big boss is that good of a soldier.
Oh yeah,
but that's all other point.
That is I've seen I've done it myself. You actually can fight her non-lethally, and it's fun. Like it's really hard to get to that point and to fight her because she's so
I know
lethal.
But, well, yeah, she's supposed to be the hardest fight in the game because of that, because she's your equal.
I know it's so cool, and then you figure out how to properly do the CQC. It's kind of it's not a fake out, but it's kind of like, all right, I see what they.
Yeah, you got to get the timing. You got to get the timing right to counter her CQC moves.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that is like a good way of dealing with trauma without having to have this bloated narrative.
Like that is so much of a better way to deal with it than Last of Us Part 2 did. And it's like what, like almost 20 years apart, these two games. Jesus.
As goofy and crazy as Kojima is, he at least he forced you to kill. Like you have to kill the boss, even though there's no reason. You've defeated her, and yes, there are reasons to kill her, but you don't have. Like Snake doesn't want to do it, but it's his job.
Well, he has to do it to calm the tensions between the U.S. and the Soviets.
Oh yeah, but he could have easily like hid her away and had her escape and all that jazz. But
the boss didn't give him any other alternative.
I know.
That's the whole point of it. It's like there's no way around it. You have to do it.
All right.
Like the game loves to have you as Ellie kill a dog whenever the dog's attacking you and forcing you into doing it. And then afterwards, it's like, oh, don't you feel bad about that? It's like, not really. Not really. You made me do it.
Oh, but hey, it's deep because they showed Abby playing fetch with the same dog earlier, so,
She saved a zebra, so she's a good person, even though she beat somebody's face in with a golf club.
And as you said, the game forces you to do it. You will die if you don't kill the dog. There are common enemies in the game. When you kill them, their companions will yell out their names and cry because they know you've just killed their companion. And it's like, they were trying to kill us. You made me do that, and then try to make me feel bad for doing it. This is not effective.
Well, to take this even further, not with Last of Us 2, but with making the overall point, it's even possible to have a critically acclaimed piece of media with culturally destructive themes. Like, say, Red Dead 2. And unfortunately, I know people will hate me for saying this. I actually enjoyed Red Dead 2. I like Red Dead 2.
Ew.
But I know. But even though I like that game, it is loaded with subversive stuff. Because Arthur Morgan somehow is this ruthless outlaw, but at the same time, through the course of the game, he gets forcefully kissed by a troon and does nothing about it. He fights for women's rights. He defends minorities to the death, all in like the late 1800s.
Oh, that's what gets me. The game establishes he's ruthless at times and will snap and kill people, but then he runs with like the most multicultural gang of outlaws ever. And they allow Sadie Adler, the cowboy queen herself, to just do as she pleases with no pushback.
Hang him. No. You got what you came for.
I can't do it, Sadie. Not like this.
I said hang him. As you wish.
Yeah, well, again, it doesn't help. It's like, this is in the late 1800s, and yet, for whatever reason, he has the morality of like a 2016 lib. What are we doing?
I honestly don't think that's what they were going for. It's because Arthur, from what little I know of Red Dead 2, is an actual multi-layered character.
Right.
For fucking once in this damn modern industry.
Yeah, and Sadie is one of those just crazy characters that it's like you can't, like, she's her own character. You can't really control her. So that's fine. That's her character. Yeah. So people didn't like her because of that?
And it's to the point that because the second game is at an earlier point from the first game, it's like they're also able to bring John Marsters in and also like add the nuance that he brings to the table to the whole thing too, and have that comparison point with Arthur. So
yeah, no, there's a lot going on in these games, and these are huge games. So focusing on Sadie's...
Also, Red Dead 2 is leaps and bounds a superior game over Last of Us Part 2. Let's just make that clear.
Well, technically, I would argue they're very similar, but it's bigger. It's just there's more going on in Red Dead 2.
Yeah, Red Dead 2 is just vastly superior. Let's just be honest.
Or the themes or the message in this case, and just gush over the open world and the graphics and the impressive technical aspects.
That's probably right, but the point still stands, though. It's possible to have an acclaimed piece of media that even has destructive themes. To make that overall point, that execution is what matters, not necessarily the themes. So maybe we should shift the focus away from themes and start talking about more substantive issues. Because, I mean, a theme really is just one small element of media, not the whole thing. Like, you can...
Okay, this is where my definition is different. You could argue that, no, a theme can be, if it's just conflict, then it's like man versus zombies, man versus machines, man versus man. And that could be, like, even in this game, it's like the majority of this game is you're fighting other dudes. And maybe 10% of the time you're fighting, I don't know, a turret or something. So, but the
What's
idea...
the name of this game?
I have no idea, but we've been watching it for the past 10 minutes. So it's like, all right, some kind of heist.
Like, the name honestly escapes me. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen it before.
Have a game with terrible graphics, a horrible OST, bad balancing, terrible gameplay, a horrid story. All this isn't made any better by having a relevant theme. Like, Hollow Knight isn't good just because it has themes of sacrifice and perseverance. It's good because it has tight platforming, simple yet solid combat, a gorgeous art style, and a banger OST.
And clearly, themes aren't all that matters, because if it was, you wouldn't see the crazy pushback that we do to these Netflix live-action adaptations of all these beloved animes, like One Piece, Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist. And let me say, I am a staunch anti-weeb. I am a true red-blooded American, so I don't know too much about these adaptations, but I would think even the Netflix versions roughly follow the same stories and thus have the same themes, but yet still got poorly received.
It's almost like people kind of intuitively know that it's not really about what it's about. The themes kids don't really think what they're saying. It's like the Get Good kids. They just use it as this easy shorthand to dismiss whatever you're saying.
Okay, so he's using a different definition than I would for theme as well. That's fine. I'm trying to see what the argument is, because then you have to read what he's saying the kids are saying, what they think a theme is. And then you're like, okay, you're talking about something different, or you're just like taking the book version or the manga as opposed to the adaptation, like they did with whatever they did with the adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, for example, and tried to emulate it. I don't know what exactly they tried to do with the series as a whole, because they reinvented other characters. They changed the plot of I think Vicious and Julia. They gave Julia a scene.
Lest we forget the damn stained glass window scene.
Yeah, that was...
Where it's like, what the hell were they thinking? Not to mention they also brought up the whole Get Good thing, which I'm just like, that's not even in the same dimension as the themes discussion we're having.
Well, the argument of hardcore gaming, yeah.
It's like, of Get Good, it's just get better at the game. There's a way to get better at the game. It's like, dude, it's like that's not
Cudgel
even
with
a
which to-
comparison. This with the whole themes thing. Come on.
Cudgel with which to beat you over the head and into submission.
It's also a method to confirm a bias, because they already think anything with X message is good, so they start from the end and work backwards.
Which, if you think that a theme or a message being pushed is all that matters, like, we got a term for that. They call you ideologically possessed. And if that's what you're doing, all you're doing is using a said piece of media to score points for your team. People come to TV, movies, and video games for entertainment, not a sermon.
And let's be clear, we're not saying you can't push a message or ideas within your art. Obviously you can, and you can do it very effectively. But people don't want to be preached to when they're trying to enjoy something.
Well, the problem now is that the art has taken a backseat to the message. I think that's what people are against.
Yeah, at least you can admit to that, which is what's been going on in the past decade or so.
Yeah, I sadly saw a few clips of Starfleet Academy. Is that the new show from wherever? Was it Amazon? I don't know. I don't know who's making it.
Something. I think Amazon. Yeah.
I don't know. I was like,
and that show has no redeeming quality.
I was trying to. They were doing some sort of, I don't know, fighting drones in a makeshift training simulator, and I'm like, what is going on? What are they trying to do? They're trying to ring a bell? Like, what? This is the whole...
Like, it was already a bad sign when they had, like, Jem'Hadar and Starfleet. I was like, wait a minute.
I was laughing. Like, is that a female Jem'Hadar? Is that a thing?
Which the sad part is, an honest to God could have worked if the people behind Modern Trek actually gave a damn.
Yeah, but she looked like she was overweight and like black. I was like, this is a black woman with.
Yeah, I know. It's like, because they made the point right there. It's like, they only care about the damn message.
It was
like, modern media only cares about messages. They don't care to actually, like, push a genuine message like older media used to.
And they have this They have this Canadian my mom was telling me there's a Canadian comedian in the show, and I'm like, oh really? And it's this female, very masculine but super thin, and in the show she is a scientist but also into gym. Like, she's into working out. I'm like, no, you're not. You're a waif. You're thin. There's no way you're an athlete. So I was like, what is this story? Like, what am I watching? I'm just like, I'm finishing my tea or whatever. I'm trying to, like, pay attention. Like, what is going on? This
is why I tend to say that real Star Trek died after Enterprise.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's when after that is when it just out the window.
Yeah, well, Enterprise. I actually enjoyed Enterprise quite a bit. A lot of people did not.
Yeah, I know. It started to get better by the third and fourth season. I remember that much.
Well, it's the same with all Star Trek. They always get better after the third or fourth season.
Although the finale was fucking horrible with the basic premise of it, with that damn holodeck thing, which is a whole other thing.
Killed off Trip.
But my point is, it's like with the Star Trek example, I'm just like all of Star Trek up to the mid 2000s is when Enterprise ended or was canceled. Around there, because like the last movie we got before the current stuff was Nemesis, which was which at least I didn't like all that much, and the last bits of Enterprise around there. But like a good chunk of old Star Trek like was able to be entertaining, be insightful, be intriguing, be intellectual at times, and push a genuine message without shoving it down your throat.
Yeah, I think
it wouldn't back. The old Trek was not like the propaganda we have now.
No. That was, I mean, you had the weird episodes where, because of the time period, they had like the weird music from the 60s finding itself in a storyline of a bunch of hippies trying to find a new planet called Eden. Like little things like that, which I thought was cute. But yeah, it's a sign of the times. What are you going to do? The same with TNG.
Which is a fair point. With the
80s haircuts and the 80s sort of fashion sense, you're like, all right, that's kind of dated, but
the damn Lycra One Piece.
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm just like, it's like you look back at that One Piece uniform from the first two seasons of TNG. I'm just like, yeah, it didn't age all that well.
I do like how they try to subvert it with Jellicoe telling Troy to get into a proper uniform. Like, what are you doing?
An actual Starfleet uniform, which, let's be honest, she actually did look a bit better in that.
Oh, way better, yeah.
Yeah, at least a little bit better, honestly.
All right.
But
Well, and
one last detail on that, wasn't she commander rank?
She didn't
Because I know she got that. She got that at some point.
She did. Yeah. Well, there was a whole storyline with her trying to get the commander, the commander
rank. Yeah. Wasn't she put through the Kobayashi Maru?
She was doing tests and she was always screwing it up, and they finally had that whole. She decided to go for the test and finally pass. So
okay, yeah.
Which is fine if you're going to be a counselor and you want to get a command position. I'm okay with that. I don't care. But
I mean, also the fact that Crusher was commander rank as well.
Right, but she had to have gone through the academy first in order to
like extensive training.
Yeah, so that's why I always questioned how militaristic is Starfleet Academy. It doesn't sound very military. And if you watch DS9, you're seeing, okay, Julian's going to get into a fight. He's going to show off his training, and he just gets destroyed. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, at least with him we know he coasted by a little bit.
I know, but that they screwed up then.
Because of it, yeah, I know, but I'm just like there's at least the idea that he coasted by the academy a little bit because of his enhanced intelligence.
Right, and
it's a whole other discussion, but still.
And with Riker, he's already like a jiu-jitsu master. He knows a few martial arts. Worf is Worf. Like, it's like, okay, these guys can fight. Data's, he's a robot, no problem. So it's like, all right, there's some military training going on, at least something. I don't know about Geordi, but survival training.
Yeah, but at least, but to go back to the original point from when we paused on the video, it's like they can at least admit what at least part of the problem is nowadays, because modern media does only care about pushing an agenda as opposed to actually like pushing a more genuine message, like as the example is with old Trek a good chunk of the time. But yeah.
Well, maybe I'll watch another episode to see if there's anything worth there, but I doubt it. Anyway.
Yeah. Probably not.
A lot of these pieces of media that do preach at you, they lack the nuance to treat their worldview in an ambiguous manner. They always tend to paint it as if it's the objectively correct view, and anyone who disagrees must be punished.
Oh, I'm thinking of Death Stranding too.
That was actually a masterpiece, though. What do you mean? Kojima's...
If you don't connect to the chiral network, you're the real epidemic.
And further evidence of this point, too, is that a lot of times you'll see the creators of certain works will even get mad that the audience doesn't share their view of the themes. Or
Really? Who's this?
I mean, didn't that happen with the guy that spearheaded RoboCop, where he wanted a specific convey a specific message, and it ended up being something else by complete accident?
The movies?
Yeah, the movies.
Yeah, but the movies became pretty goofy after the first one.
Fair, but that did still happen.
He wanted them to the deeper meaning of Robo. Like, really? Huh.
It's like yeah.
That's weird. I can't think of I can't think of any game designers that went, oh, you didn't understand. Maybe Druckmann, but I doubt it.
Yeah, it's like if Druckmann would probably be the only one, because I don't remember any other creators like even Kojima himself or even someone like Avalon doing something like that.
Chris would not do that. He wouldn't even care.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah. It's
like a lot of the more well-known ones would not resort to that kind of mentality. It's like, oh, you just don't get it. It's like, nah. It's just like, that's what we're given.
Yeah.
That's what it's shown, and if there's something else that you wanted it to be in there but wasn't, well, that's your damn problem.
Maybe some ex-writers from BioWare, but definitely not the ones that, like, Chris Etoile would never do that. I can't see him doing that.
Would Casey Hudson also fall into that? It's like, do he care?
I don't think he would care. No. he would do it the way he wanted, and he wouldn't give a shit after it was done. He'd be like, "Yep, it's finished."
And Mac would probably not care as long as it looks cool.
I don't know about him. He might have something to say, but he wouldn't be like, "Oh, you take."
Yeah, but he
whatever
wouldn't. Yeah, but I doubt Mac would be in any way pissy about it.
No. He wouldn't be that. No, he's not that goofy.
Yeah, at least.
I was gonna say
character like Alan Moore,
the blue-haired and his wife. I can't remember his name.
Can't remember either.
The wife and husband duo writers, and I'm like, oh, those guys.
From BioWare, or
yeah, I can't remember his name. It's been since we reviewed Veilguard. And,
God damn it! Yeah.
Trip is his name? Trix or Trip? I can't remember what the hell his name was.
I don't know.
He changed his name. I was like, okay, forget it. He might have something to say. Anyway, who cares?
Maybe.
The creator of Watchmen, who is a self-proclaimed anarchist.
Yeah, but that's Alan Moore. Who gives it? What game did he make?
Moore. I don't think Moore would go that far either. Moore would probably be another case where he would say something, but again, I don't think even he would be all that pissy about it.
Unless he's arguing about
Rorschach. He would just probably say his piece and move on.
Was highly critical of conservative politics, and he wrote the character Rorschach as a right-wing conspiracy theorist. Well, coincidentally, Rorschach ended up being everyone's favorite character because he had this unwavering commitment to his ideas even against insurmountable odds, which resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah, he's basically that version of Batman in that universe.
Yeah. It's like and for those reasons that a lot of people gravitated towards Rorschach.
Yeah, he wanted
because
the truth.
it was because by complete accident he ended up being just that well written.
Yeah, he just was a simple character. He wanted the truth. He believed in justice, and nothing would change him. He was like, that was his whole thing, and nothing would. He was incarcerated. He didn't care. He still wanted to get the truth. He still wanted justice. That's it. Everyone else on that team was either goofy or, the comedian was weird, and I'm trying to remember all the characters. Like the Batman-like character was kind of like they weren't that serious. He was the one guy who's like, no, we're doing this the right way. I'm a detective.
Another example might be, God damn it, who was it that made The Boys? I'm trying to remember names.
Oh yeah, from The Boys.
Yeah, what was it? Trying to so I can make that point.
Well, the same kind of character in the Boys, that they just care about doing the right thing.
Yeah, but let me just see if I can get that name.
All right.
Garth Ennis.
Oh, the writer.
Fuck's sake. Yeah. Writer. Sorry. Oh, the Garth Ennis. Yeah, thanks, Axton. With Garth Ennis, it's like he made had a big hand in The Boys, where it's a critique on the superhero stuff.
Right.
Because he has gone on record saying that he doesn't like the superhero stuff. And yet, before that, he ended up writing, hands down, one of, if not the best runs Punisher ever got, which is Punisher Max. And it was kind of a similar situation to Rorschach, where people just gravitated towards it.
Right.
Because because like with Rorschach, Punisher Max resonated with people for a lot of what it did.
Well,
and as far as I'm aware, that wasn't the intention with Ennis.
Yeah, no. Well, you either like the Preacher. I think most comic book guys love Hellblazer, love Preacher, because it's so adult.
Generally,
yeah. The comic book guys generally like Garth Ennis' stuff, so I'm not sure he would be like, "Oh, you didn't get my themes." Like, no, he wouldn't care.
Yeah, I do know. For a long time. One last thing. I do know Ennis said some things when it came to like The Boys and like his disdain for superheroes, but it didn't really get all that far. So.
That liberals will try and write characters that people hate, so what they do is make them conservative and think, surely people will hate this guy, and then turns out that they love him the most. Like, this happened with Archie Bunker, too. This has been happening for the longest time.
Well, another recent example would be Joker, where they portrayed the character of Arthur Fleck as this mentally ill, lonely outcast of society, and because of that, he resonated with a lot of people. But Hollywood couldn't handle this, so they decided to turn Joker 2 into a humiliation ritual to own the incels. Because, it's not okay for them to like the first movie. And clearly Hollywood was right, because, man, there was just so many theater shootings after Joker 1 because all the incels went out of control.
Now, to add on to all this, you even have pieces of media that essentially forsake themes altogether, simply to entertain people. Like, whenever you sit down and play Bloons TD6, Tetris, Minecraft, whatever the case may be, these games don't really have a theme. Like, you may intuit a theme from the gameplay, but in terms of the narrative, it's just not there.
Yeah, because that's just video games in their purest form. Video games as they began, honestly, to be perfectly honest. It's like, you don't need much else with these kind of simple yet fun games.
Yeah, that was
it wasn't until after, like, the original Tetris and stuff where games started to evolve further to the extent of being entertainment that was more dense, that was more packed in, like similar to other mediums like movies, like film and TV. And it's like that evolution came in, and video games were able to be on that same level, but not initially, not with things like Tetris.
I remember the quote from John Carmack when, after he made Doom, is like, what is a story in a video game? And to him, it's like, well, it's like, does porn need a story? It's nice to have, but you don't really need it in your video game, because it's about the gameplay. It's about having fun. So
the nice thing about that is that when story evolved to a point where Doom was given proper story, it was still good.
When the medium allowed for time to provide a story, you could actually have cutscenes and do things like that people wanted, outside of just having a Twitch gameplay or whatever more elements. And that was outside of, like, Carmack was, genius doing his own thing. So it's like, all right, but that was like,
with his original point about story, he wasn't necessarily wrong. It's just that was at a point where that idea, that concept really hadn't been put to the proper test yet. Like, it was like it's in the like late 80s, early 90s where that was really put to the test in terms of how video games would go about, like, traditional storytelling, and even like have that evolution where it, in some cases, it would do it better than other mediums. And we have plenty of examples of that too.
Yeah, and I think Doom came out before Warcraft 1, and Warcraft 1, as you know, is an RTS.
I believe Doom 1 was 93. Let me double check.
Yeah, and right after that was Warcraft. So I remember the discs they were on. And, Warcraft had a story, and that was like, wow, they could put story and stuff. But even then, I remember playing Dune 2. That is story way before Warcraft came out. So
yeah, Warcraft 1 was 94, yeah.
Yeah, so these things were, at the time, they made sense. And you're like, oh, now we have the opportunity to actually get immersed in the gameplay through characters, through storytelling, and there's more elements to video games aside from mechanics. So John wasn't wrong in saying, a game as a game doesn't need, like Metroid doesn't need a story. You're exploring,
or at least not a standard story, but Metroid was still able to convey the story through the gameplay, which is one of the strengths of the series.
That's one of the beauties of video game design is visual storytelling. You have level design.
Metroid was one of the first examples of show don't tell storytelling.
Right.
And did it and even as early as Metroid 1 did it very well. And then Super Metroid just perfected the formula for how Metroid would do it going forward.
Which is the beauty of these kinds of games where you have these gigantic adventures, Castlevania, Metroid, whatever, and it's like gothic, oh, this is a castle, this is a clock tower, and it's like some evil twisted version of like, oh, I get it. And you're the one who has to go through this crazy place. So that's sort of the visual element of telling a story with these kinds of sprites and these kinds of tiles and these kinds of interactive elements that go, oh, this is the magic of for whatever reason, we're getting energy from candles that can power sub weapons. Like, how does that work? I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
And then comes something like Final Fantasy VI, which for many people was the actual true, honest to God breakthrough in terms of video games getting into that like proper production value and entertainment value and storytelling that other mediums had already been doing for decades at that point.
Or at least trying to get to that level. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least approaching that level. Because by the time of the fifth generation rolled in, it's like that's when the waters were really being tested in terms of those kinds of storytelling in video games.
And pushing the hardware as far as it can go, the wave tables for music and all the good stuff that you want out of an RPG.
And also like pushing the limits in terms of how video games would be able to handle like those higher levels of quality writing as well. Like the first major example, regardless of what you think of it, like the first major example being, or at least one of the first major examples being Metal Gear Solid 1, with how far they were able to push it.
Yeah. I love the fact that Kojima says, okay, we're doing cutscenes and our faces are, 450 polys. You can't do...
Yeah, keeping the cinematics within the in-game engine, not relying on anything pre-rendered, which is a lot of what Final Fantasy VII was doing around the same time, and that was also able to excel in doing that as well. There was already these different ways of developers conveying the stories they wanted to convey in these kinds of games, and then it just kept upscaling from there, especially by the time of the sixth generation with the GameCube, PS2, Xbox, where they were really pushing the limit on how much they could push forward in terms of how the technology would be able to allow for those kinds of stories to be told.
Yeah, it's great. I always love the 3 levels of detail of the sprites in Final Fantasy VII. You had the low level, you had the battle, and then you had the pre-rendered cutscene stuff. And it's just like, yep. And then when they got the PC upgrade, they tried
the PC port.
Yeah, I mean they tried to up the resolution as best they could, but it's still the same 3 levels of detail. Whether you're exploring.
With that, we get to a whole other level of this entire evolution of games where it comes to modding. Where, to bring this up really quick, with moddings, like with some of these games, like the original vision can be approached even more closely than originally was intended with the original limitations. So it's like at this point in the current point in the industry that we're in, it's like the sky's the limit. In terms of these older games that we're trying to push the boundaries of what gaming could do in terms of storytelling and other things from different mediums, but also at the same time sticking to its core of being a game and going forward with that, as well as pushing the envelope in other aspects.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah. I will not stop cringe YouTube video essayists from telling you about how Bloons TD6 is all about capitalism or Tetris is about police brutality.
Oh yeah, they can't help themselves. Themes as a whole are highly subjective and open to interpretation, which is why we shouldn't put all that much stock into them. Because you can just make them up, and plenty of people do. I mean, one of the things that you constantly see in media is people inserting their own personal biases and interpretations onto media rather than allowing the media to speak for itself. Like, and if the piece of media is good, it should be able to speak for itself instead of requiring the audience to do the work for it.
Yeah, that I would say that is the mandate of good media to do. Like the aforementioned Wrath of Khan, where it gives you the themes up front as part of the core of the plot, and you don't have to really think too hard about it.
Well,
as opposed to the shit that the leftists do nowadays, where they just shove it down your throat, regardless of whether it makes sense or has any kind of logic to it.
Yeah, any critic who's trying to interpret their own ideas and project them onto the analysis is not, like, it's just funny to listen to. It's so Maggie May Fish ridiculous. You just sit there going, what bias do you have today, Maggie? Is it going to be Trump? Is it going to be the right wing? Is it going to be the World War II experience. Like, what is happening right now with Maggie's mind this time of day to talk about?
Yeah. In any
Fight
good
Club.
media, there is always that fine line of saying just enough without saying too little or too much. In terms of the themes and what it's trying to convey.
And the best example is always for that Cowboy Bebop, the original. For me, at least. Okay. Hey, Wisp, how's it going? I see your mic is off. We'll give you some moments.
Hey, I'm sorry I'm so late.
I want to bring up a Tolkien.
Are you having fun?
This is a good video. The guys are doing a good job. I know we covered them before when they did the Farquaad spoof. I guess I want to call it a spoof, but they were making fun of the whole right-wing argument. Compared to
so is he actually a joker or?
No, they're
did you
serious.
mean those
This
things?
is a serious video here. I think the other video was a joke, as far as we know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like that was like an exception as
Yep.
opposed to this one where they're pretty on point so far.
Yeah, I'm good with
Mostly.
them. Yeah, so far.
Thankfully.
For example, I want to bring up a Tolkien quote. Tolkien reasons why he dislikes them is because, quote, I think that many confuse applicability with allegory, but the one resides in the freedom of the reader and the other in the purpose domination of the author.
And I think people get really hung up on trying to find the hidden message in media that sometimes they miss the plain message that's right in front of their face.
Well, and we know this, like y'all know this, that subtle messaging does exist. There are very secretive and subversive things you can often find in media. Will also project a lot of these themes that they want to see onto the media to affirm their own biases. So it can be very hard to discern them, and a lot of times it can lead people to reach for things that may or may not be there.
Well, a good
As is the case with the leftists, usually. Like I still remember the one video that we did on the bitch that was projecting her homosexuality onto Devil May Cry. And it's like that exactly is an example of what they're talking about here. Where it's like these people cannot help themselves but just say whatever shit comes out of their fucking minds like it's flung out or something.
And it's
And that
pretty
is-
much all they did. All the left, all the bread tubers, it was all just that random reaction, projection, and usually sexual obsession about homosexuality.
Well, that and
Yeah.
the oh, look at all the black women in this story. It must be fantastic. It's so good. Everyone should watch this Star
which is
Wars.
like-
Yeah,
what the-
please
which is like,
clap
what the
for the
fuck?
Negroes on the stage. Please clap. Oh, look, Negroes on the stage. It's so amazing. I'm so happy to see Negroes dance on the stage. That's what the left is.
Well, now
Yes.
that we have female black fat Jem'Hadar in Starfleet Academy, I was just like,
Which is so stupid beyond belief.
this
Dear
is
God.
comedy, right?
Seriously?
I-
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's a black female
Yes.
actor as a Jem'Hadar. I'm like, this can't be real.
Dear God.
Nothing makes sense.
that is The Matrix. There's some pretty obvious themes that I think most people would pick up on in The Matrix, like fate versus free will or the nature of reality. But you have people in vastly different camps that have totally different interpretations of it because of how they see the world. The manosphere, so your Andrew Tates and people like that, have now adopted these concepts of the Matrix and the Red Pill to try and help explain how they see the current dynamics between men and women in the dating world. But then on the other hand, you have the directors of the film, the Wachowski brothers, at the time that the film came out, now the Wachowski sisters.
God.
They're adamant that the film was always an allegory about the trans experience. Although it's interesting to note, they only started saying this around 2019.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
when they were compromised.
Yeah, and the Wachowskis are a great example of the social contagion effect. And because not this one, the other Wachowski, is actually kind of like, yeah, it's late transitioning, but the other one is fairly decent, convincing about the issue, while this one is just the big barrel type that just does it because the other sibling is getting attention for being trans. So this one is now also trans to also get attention.
Is it fair
And
to
that's
say
that's
that
the social contagion that the left has been doing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was
And we
gonna- I was
noticed,
gonna-
like, I'm sorry to take this, but this is extremely important. we have studies about monozygotic twins, so actual twins from one egg, where sometimes one has gender dysphoria, but the other one never does. If in monozygotic twins, it's not the case that both have it if one has it, then it is extremely unlikely that if you have regular brothers that are years apart, where one has it, and then suddenly the other one has it too. I'm sorry, no, that doesn't happen. That's not the case. That's not real. That's Münchhausen syndrome. It's hypochondria or Münchhausen syndrome. Sorry,
yeah, don't worry about it. I was going to add something. Is it fair to say that the Wachowskis are just a microcosm of the socialist infiltration we've been seeing for the past decade and a half? Is it in any way?
I would believe so.
There's
the ideology is there, like this claim that the Matrix is a trans allegory. No, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not. You can't just post hoc claim that, just like J.K. Rowling claimed post hoc that everyone in her story is gay.
What?
Sorry, that's not how it works.
No, she didn't.
Like, not everybody, but the whole thing about Dumbledore being gay and I don't know who else, like Hagrid. I don't fucking know what that post talk. The Hermione is a black now. I'm sorry, no, don't give us that shit.
Isn't that the musical?
That's bullshit.
They made a black Hermione
I mean, I remember the Hermione one explicitly contradicts words from the actual book.
Yeah.
And now outside of J.K. Rowling, they also made Snape black. Like the palest guy in the fucking story, who's constantly described as being so fucking pale that he makes the moon look colored.
Yeah, I was also gonna say that also is contradicted by the book.
Yes. And I'm sorry, you can't just post hoc claim that the Matrix is a trans allegory. It's not. It's getting out of Plato's cave. That's not the same thing. If you're trans, if you actually have gender dysphoria, that's rather the thing, because they've redefined the whole fucking term about being, if you transition, that makes you trans. No, it's having the condition of gender dysphoria, which is measurable, that makes you trans, which you can test in an MRI. And the left is against doing those tests because, and that's their words from against the Barcelona study from back in the day, the 2017 that was, I believe, or 2016,
maybe.
Where they then said, we can't have that as a diagnostic tool because that would erase trans identity. Which, by the formulation of it, reveals that they know all they do with the trans topic is performance. It is telling people that they are trans, and therefore they are, and not because if you have dysphoria, you know that you have that. You may not have the words to put into it, but you know that from before puberty. If you realize that after puberty, if somebody has to tell you that you have it, you don't. You don't need to castrate yourself. You have other issues, maybe, probably, but you don't have this one. Don't castrate yourself because somebody tells you that you're trans. That's bullshit.
Like the whole thing with the Matrix is like it's about as stupid as saying that the search for Spock is a trans allegory because of the whole thing with Spock's body and the Genesis planet. I'm just like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I mean, if you stretch things far enough, if you redefine words far enough, then everything is everything, and that is the real trick that the left is pulling. They try to tell you that it's the thing I'm talking about. If you just redefine every word I said, but then you're just talking bullshit. Then you're just weaving a magical spell to confuse people and manipulate. And that's not what reality is. And your reality doesn't magically change because you redefine the words. The words are there to describe things that physically are. That substantially are.
Alrighty.
Change because you say they're different now.
We got almost 2 minutes left, and
we do have a super chat from Frog Jupiter. If you want me to read it out,
please do.
All right, so Frog Jupiter for $5. Thanks, man. Using the themes in all caps of Stephen King's It, Pennywise is clearly gay-coded according to the left. The character who targets and eats kids. What do they mean by this?
Cannibalism and pedophilia. That's what the clown is. And if you look deeper into what the demons are, because demons and devils, they all look a certain way. If we look into our mythology, those are certain phenotypes. Those phenotypes were associated with devils because the people who looked like that, a great deal of them, and that means more than 4% of them, were doing these things. They couldn't be trusted, they were mischievous, they were malicious, they were cannibalistic, they were pedophilic. It doesn't need to be more than 4% of a human phenotype to do that in order to get those stereotypes. That's what these things warn us about. And that means that when we look at those things, or those mythological figures, they warn us about people who look a certain way. And yes, it sounds very horrible that you say that, oh, well, 96% of those people are fine. Well, yeah, but over 98 of those people should be fine. The problem is the normal crime rate of a demographic is 2%. If it goes to 4%, people start to notice and form stereotypes to warn about them, so that your children don't get eaten and molested and raped and then being screwed for life. If it goes beyond 4%, like 7%, that's still 93% of people being decent from that demographic. But 7% of a demographic being like that, your crime stats are fucked, and people will hate that demographic forever. That's what happens. It's that simple. And the baseline of psychopathy, for example, is 2%. It's very low numbers. It's single-digit numbers. When those get too high, people start to notice, and they start to shut off against it. That's all it takes, and that's how you get those horrible depictions.
Yep.
It's that simple. So people will be wary about certain phenotypes because they start to notice, oh, there's a certain behavior that goes along with that. It's certain energy levels and certain mannerisms, and they all flow together. I'm sorry. It is just that way. It's not that all of them are bad, it's that enough of them are bad. And if the in-group doesn't deal with its black sheep, if it doesn't sort out its bad apples, the consequence is that the rest of the world will think, well, they don't deal with the bad black sheep, and we have to suffer them, then we don't want them. That's the natural reaction throughout history.
Yeah.
So we need to deal with the black sheep.
All right.
That's all it is.
Let's keep going.
Yep.
Was transitioned, not back in 1999 when it wasn't cool to be trans yet.
Well, I feel like a lot of this revisionist history is happening, and it's on both sides too. I hate to say that because I clearly am favorable to one side over the other, but I would prefer the focus to shift not on the themes necessarily, but back to the substance. And this brings us back to what we talked about at the beginning. Relevant or profound themes shouldn't be used as a shield to deflect legitimate criticism. Because again, saying a piece of media is great because of the themes tells me nothing about its quality. It's not even a defense, it's just an obvious pointless observation.
Well, tell me why it's good. Tell me why you liked it. Don't just tell me, well, racism is bad, so therefore it's good.
Right. How did you explore that theme? How did you show me through the various things that happen on screen that racism is bad, instead of just telling me that?
And wouldn't it make a whole lot more sense to evaluate a piece of media for what it is first, before you worry about something as malleable as themes?
You would think so. I mean, if it's actually quality, it will hold up even if the themes don't particularly resonate with you. Themes aren't the cake, they're the cherry on top.
So let's please stop pretending like a piece of media is good just because it has a theme that resonates with you personally, and shift the conversation to something a little bit more substantive, like how humans in 2025 are still putting beans on toast.
Okay.
I like those
Yeah,
beans.
Yeah, the actual
can-
point is not they're on point with that statement.
Yeah, because you can still execute a theme badly, so just it being there doesn't make it good automatically.
Well-
Just that this really, really, really dumb, emotionally reactive crowd that calls everybody else reactionary, they just want to see dangling keys.
Well, with the idea of a theme, it's usually after the fact that you think about what you read or watched and say, oh, yeah, this is about love and loss and how to deal with this sort of issue. Not at the time of reading or watching. You're like, oh, because you're so caught up in whatever is going on, hopefully, if it's a good piece of media. So this is what I said at the start. Like, yes, Terminator 2 is about man versus machine, but there's a heck of a lot more going on than just man fighting a robot. So plus,
the left doesn't even think that deep. What they want to clap about is just seeing, oh, there's a gay person, and that's their theme.
Yeah.
Clap, clap, clap. That's all it is.
Here's a strong.
Oh, the underdog is fighting the guy with money and power. Clap, clap, clap. That's all it is.
That's what I can't remember the black actor from. Not the Acolyte. Was it the Acolyte? No, it was the previous Star Wars show. I think it was Obi-Wan show. The black.
The Obi-Wan show.
Yeah, that was.
Yes.
She was like, "Oh wow!" It's like, no, you're missing the whole point. What were you?
Oh, the woman that looks like a demon.
She shaved her head.
Moses Ingram.
Moses Ingram. Yeah, there you go.
The one with the long fingers and the like who walks like an SCP.
And she's got the
the one that took a lightsaber from Anakin twice and survived.
I haven't watched the show. I thought it just meant I don't remember.
I'm just pointing that one out specifically because that was just so stupid with the damn character. That's just me though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have no themes.
And they never complain when or see when a leftist has money and power. They never complain about that part.
Oh.
It's not about equality then. It's okay when they have it. That's rather it. As we saw with Black Panther, where it's okay when this nation of black people has super technology and super resources and has a wall and is super racist against everybody, every black person who's outside their wall. They're not uplifting the Africans, but somehow we are supposed to cheer for Wakanda, which is an absolute ethno-state that discriminates against other black Africans.
Which is such an insult to the comics counterpart. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and then I have this other faction that makes monkey noises. Yeah, great.
Yeah, friggin' M'Baku the man-ape. Little M'Baku the man-ape. They made him a freaking former Wakandan, and they had him do that.
Cheered.
Like, give me a break.
And the black Americans cheered.
Okay.
And the socialists cheered.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Seeing the black people on screen make monkey noises.
Oh, dear.
It's just the comic. It's like, again, it's such an insult to the comics version of the Wakandans. It's ridiculous. The comics versions were never to that level.
Anyway.
At all.
This was a good video. These guys do good jobs, and most of the stuff they said was very good. I can't really argue with it.
Thank God the Lord Farquaad video was a fluke. Because this one was a lot better. They were much more on point with the argument here.
Yeah, and this is what the most common sense person would say when they think of what's going on when people talk about these things, or critics on YouTube talk about these things, and we can see how they project their ideas into the narrative, which is not actually there, or it's some sort of cathartic experience they have to talk about. And I had a bad experience, and I played this game or I watched this movie and I felt better because it was about capitalism being bad. You're like, okay, sure.
I'm just like with most themes that can happen, that experience can happen, but I'm just like, there's a little bit more depth to just because this thing good or bad. There is usually more reasoning behind why it uplifts you like that. It's like, and again, I brought up the example of Wrath of Khan earlier, where it's like that plot benefited from having the themes be so integrated with the story, and it gives you everything up front, but without it being tell not show. And that is why at least that specific film holds up to the extent that it does, because of that integration and the execution of those themes.
Yeah, it is kind of fascinating that all the great media that we love, we don't actually care about the themes. We can think about them after the fact, but we're always focused on that was a really great scene. That was really dramatic. That was a really good action. That was really good timing, and the media, the sound, the effects, the music, everything just worked so well. We're not concerned about, wow, it was so profound and There's all this meaning to be. It's like, yeah, there is meaning to be found, but I want to enjoy it.
Well, even though in some cases that is very much the case, it's like that's not what we're thinking of in the moment.
It's
fair enough.
It's after the fact where you're thinking
where
about
you analyze it and where you analyze it and you pick it apart.
It's where it's more of an intellectual exercise. I could see it now, but it's not necessary for good stuff. You don't have to waste your time unless you want it explained and you want people to understand. Because some people don't see that, and they don't understand why they feel a certain way, why they think a certain way, until someone actually takes it apart and go, "Oh, look at that. This is why you feel this way." So that can be very helpful.
And in cases where that is there, where you can actually see it when you pick it apart, that makes it even better.
Right,
in my opinion.
Because when people use the theme in the sense of having value, they think of it as a form of meaning that's either a part of the meta narrative or part of the existing narrative they didn't see. So they like to say, "Oh wow, the thing I really like had this element to it. I wasn't thinking about that. What a great feeling! What a great idea! If only
it makes that particular media even better for knowing that,
for having that extra layer." Exactly. So people projecting things that aren't there. That's where we're like, whoa. Why are you?
Yeah, that's when it just reaches the limit of what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, why is this thing you think that isn't there so important to you, and why are you ascribing a value to a thing that is there? Like, remember that? Oh, geez, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Curio, and he ascribed the value of being trans in the post-apocalyptic world is the most important thing.
Yeah, that whole stupid
before survival. I was like, wait a second.
Which is what are you on, my dude?
It was so,
and that is why you die.
It was so stupid, and we're like, are you even thinking straight?
That is why you would be the first to go if you actually went through that setting.
Like the arguments, the ideas that he was proposing was just so bonkers in the setting or the genre that we all like. Okay, it's post-apocalyptic. There's zombies, harsh weather, some kind of radioactive waste, whatever. Everything's out to kill you. But the number one factor is I know my identity. I'm like, what are you talking about? What does this have to do with anything?
Get the weed out of your head and actually think.
Only somebody who's never really suffered in life says that, who's never really been deprived of food and drink
or accomplished
and
anything,
shelter and sleep, and
never
that's like the most pampered person in the world.
The kind of person who's literally lived under a fucking rock.
Well, I think if you only lived under a rock, you would be more grounded.
You would have some back strength.
This is somebody who's been locked into a palace in a golden cage at best. And the post-apocalypse is being, I'm out of that cage, but I can always go back into that cage where I have all the food and shelter and warmth and water and medical support I have. But it's totally the post-apocalypse, you know?
Anyway,
what the fuck? Was I here for that?
Hopefully not. It was painful. It was. We actually had a few spats on X.
Probably not here for Curio one.
Yeah, it was a while back, but it was bad. It was really stupid.
That sounds horrible.
Oh, the guy looked like a clown. He's a balding man dressed up as a, I don't know, female of some kind. It was just ugly.
I was definitely not there for that. God. I don't remember that at all.
Oh my god! You know you can get wigs for medical reasons. It's usually for women.
Yeah.
This is like worse than Sterling. Okay, Sterling is gross enough, but this guy's worse.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Sterling is just completely compromised at this point.
I don't want to imagine. If I was here for that, I'd probably repress the memory.
Yeah, it's that bad. Anyway, thank you guys for the suggestion. This is a good video to watch. A lot of
unfortunately no memes, but still a pretty good video.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. So it's freezing here in Ontario, so I'm glad I got something to do inside. That's good. Aside from study and.
Are you still snowed in?
Oh, the snow came a few days ago. Now it's the temperature. Now it's like minus 12, minus 13. So it's gonna be like for the next few days. We're probably going to see some more snow as well, but I don't know exactly what the precipitation chances are. So, but Thanks, guys. Do appreciate it. We'll talk to you later. Have a good evening, and good night.
Yeah. Don't
night.
let the chaos cultists subvert terror. The Emperor protects. Good
Yes.
night.